Robert, I just have to say that our thesis is that folks are moving from kind of this philanthropy, corporate social responsibility model towards more of a long-term development model, and I can't think of a more powerful illustration of this of this idea. What's been the fallout from the building of the Institute? Where are you now with it, and
Well, there's been
what's
no
happening?
fallout.
No, I mean, sorry about that. Very bad use of words there, but what have been the consequences?
It's been extraordinary. We have contributed to training over 2,600 healthcare workers from 26 different countries in Africa. We are engaged in conversations with them about expanding the center. Baylor University and Bristol Myers has built a children's center adjacent to the center there. We've worked out an arrangement with Milagro Hospital, which treats a number of patients with infectious diseases, primarily HIV and AIDS, where we are also training people in the Kampala city clinics, so that people can move out of inpatient care into outpatient care. And what's been really terrific, the lab that we were built, that John Hopkins designed and trained the Africans to use, has been certified and the first African laboratory to meet certification standards of the U.S., the U.K., and France. It's been an extraordinary endeavor for us. It's been an expensive endeavor, but it has had extremely positive consequences of the variety you can hardly measure, in the sense of other partners now have joined in this effort. We've seen the World Bank want to move to erect a similar kind of center in West Africa. So we are very pleased about it and very satisfied. So we're quite ecstatic about that partnership.
Yeah, I mean, I think that this is one of the keys, is that people in economics talk about how you multiply the money supply in a given function. When you invest in a project like this, the ripple effects go much more beyond in terms of the added economic value. And my thought, for example, Burlington Northern Santa Fe is interested in putting in $1 billion investment to link Kigali to Dar es Salaam, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the route. And the more that other companies know about that kind of investment, the more I feel like it creates like a catalytic effect. But then this would be where like S&V and the Millennium Challenge Corporation could help in terms of the public infrastructure and the signaling and reducing the transaction costs of making some of those things happen. Anyway, my theory.
Robert, I think you very clearly have illustrated the magnetic effect of success.
True.
What Pfizer has done there has automatically magnetized the private sector, other individuals in the private sector, to come and join you, to add on, to enhance, to enlarge the particular things that you're doing along the same lines and in different ways. And that's terrific. That's what we've tried to do in the last year with the MCC in the private sector initiative area. We've succeeded to a certain extent. If we had more time, we would have been more aggressive about it. We do have MOUs with General Electric and with Microsoft and with AGRA and a few other organizations as well that are dedicated to this type of spirit and reality of pulling people together and building off of our MCC compacts in our countries, which range in size. Our earlier ones were smaller, let's call them 200 million, to our larger ones, which are 500, 600, 400, 700 million dollars, and using that as a magnet to bring on parallel investment.
Yes.
Yeah.
But what are the information sources that you use to know, like, if somebody else is doing something? What?
I think they're a little bit inadequate, quite frankly. We try on our side.
They're a lot inadequate.
We have public sector outreach
But is it
events.
CNN? I mean, no. Are there tools?
Well, I think Pfizer does a great job in their public relations exercises.
Well,
but if you wanted to know,
that's a
like
debatable proposition,
Bristol
but
jumping in on it.
I think what we discovered in doing it, and this is, I mean, I could give you plenty other examples, is there is not a clearinghouse for this kind of information, or a place where the private sector and governments from around the world can come together and collaborate and say, okay, now you do this, I'll do that. Here's how we're going to really leverage these things. It's actually a huge hole in our development efforts. And part of it seems to me what Congressman Smith was talking about this morning was the need to be able to create some opportunity to bring the private sector and governments together and NGOs. Now, we also deal with, quite seriously, as many people in this audience would know, is the tremendous distrust between NGOs and governments and the private sector. We talk a different language sometimes. We just don't talk the same thing. Now, maybe they do in the Netherlands, but we just don't. And bridging those gaps is what's important. This morning, Dirk said that we didn't all have to have the same objective, and I sort of made a note when he said that because I'm not certain I agree with that. I actually think we all, many times in development, have the same objectives. We don't all have the same motivations. We are motivated by different things, but we want to get to the same place. And I think it's important to want to get to the same place. Well, there are lots of actors, governments around the world, private companies, NGOs, and recipients of aid and assistance who actually have the same objectives. But we question each other's motivations. And that gets in the way of our being able to have productive relationships. And I think that's one of the large problems.
If I may add to that, I think the waiting for clearinghouses to emerge or having, let's say, grand structural solutions, as well the Congressman this morning said, we have to better coordinate and structure aid. I think that may be a little bit elusive. I think there's many people going at that, and there's also a lot of good stuff to say for the diversity that you have in the aid industry. But I think you're doing exactly what you're good at, and that is powerful. You have incredible knowledge in working with these types of laboratories and putting them together. What is critical for you, I think, is to basically connect to local knowledge. And there is no major international clearinghouse, and that's not going to come, and even the Gallup Corporation is not going to do that.
You've really got a thing about Gallup.
No,
but they
I like
have
Gallup.
they have a thing about y'all. But